Hello, explorers, and welcome to episode 56. In this episode, we have a super special new guest appearing on the show with some fantastic opinions on our main topic this week, which is our deep dive into Barriss Offee. Stay tuned for more. Hello, explorers, and welcome again to episode 56. And what a week it has been for the Acolyte in the UK. It's had its premiere. I've seen all the videos and pictures from all our friends that have been, and the lucky people. What a fantastic experience that was for you guys. Super, super jealous. Joining me this week, however, is nobody, because Jimmy has ditched me to go on some well-earned family downtime with his extremely better half, Molly, in Vegas. So unfortunately for you guys, it's just my voice to listen to. Normally, if they'd ask how everyone's week's been, however, I'll tell you how my week's been. Like I said earlier, I've had the utmost pleasure and joy in watching other people's videos and pictures that got to attend the Acolyte premiere at Leicester Square in London. It looked amazing. I completely cannot believe I missed the opportunity to get the tickets. However, I'm so glad all you people shared those pictures and videos. They were fantastic. So for the rest of the week, all I've done was a little bit of work, just chilled out. And currently now I'm sat at a different camp this time as I'm on my American football trials for the British Army. So without any further delay, let's go and see then what new members we've had join this week. This week then we've had an influx of new members. So forgive me for any pronunciation mistakes, but here we go. So welcome to the following. We've got Keita and Din, Ketanero Cassandra, Johnny Campbell, Lillian Lammy, Pryor _ DeMello, Jones _ Custom 3D, Army Spill, Level Up Leroy, David Bevan 83, Star Wars Universe 10, Padawan Pops, Sir Bam F 96, Clashing Sabers, EC _24, Luminous Jet Cosplay, Imperial _Slave, Tabitha Channing, Michaela 2299, Michael Bugles Lies, and Cav 8 UK. Thank you so much, guys, for joining us aboard. Again, thank you so much to everyone that's sharing our name out there. If you would love to join us, we'd love to have you on board. It's Explore the Force, all one word. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X, Threads, and YouTube. And please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you so much to everybody that is joining. Now, let's head into this week's Force Encounters with me again. Okay, so on this week's Force Encounters then, I've managed to finish the Living Force book by John Jackson Miller. What an incredible book that was. I did it on Audible and had the pleasure of listening to Mark Thompson, an extremely talented voice actor that we've had on the show before. Cannot recommend that Audible book anymore. It's absolutely fantastic. If you've not listened to it, get on it. Also, one of the listeners recommended that I tune into Darth Plagueis. I've started listening to that, and again, within the first 2 or 3 chapters, it's captured me. It's very dark, but I'm enjoying seeing it all from the point of view from the Sith. Apart from reading Star Wars, I've not really done that much in terms of any Lego builds or anything like that. I know Jimmy's looking to do one, but I've had the absolute pleasure of seeing some of you guys and girls' videos and pictures at the Acolyte and being there before for the Rise of Skywalker. I love the setup they had. I love the fact they had a Karnaka walking around, and it looked like the cast and even the crew as well really enjoyed the interaction with the fans. Fans themselves, you all look fantastic with your Jedi robes and lightsabers. And I really digged the ticket design. I thought that was fantastic as well. That's all my Force encounters for this week then. So let's head over to Batuu to see what news we've got coming out of there then. Okay, so news this week then. Daisy Ridley is apparently still yet to read a script for Star Wars. I know there's a rumor going around. Apparently, it's been cancelled. I don't know what's going on with this. Whether it's clickbait, ears to the ground. Do I really care about this? If I'm totally honest, no, not at all. Let's just see what happens and just roll with it. Try and keep on board with the positivity train. You know, I'm trying to ignore all the negative that's flown around Daisy Ridley, which I think is absolutely bonkers at the minute. In other news, the Star Wars Acolyte reportedly has a budget for 180 million. That is a crazy amount of money. However, it's not the most expensive show to date. That award falls to Andor, which had a budget of a whopping 250 million for 12 episodes. And sticking with Star Wars Acolyte as well, it's been revealed that the episode runtime for episodes 1 to 4 apparently range from 32 to 40 minutes long, which I cannot wait to get stuck into, especially at 2 in the morning when I'll be staying up to watch all of those and pushing our reaction out the very next day. And unfortunately, some sad news that Marie D'Aragon, who played Greedo in the shoots in A New Hope, has died aged 81 of natural causes. Our thoughts, prayers, and condolences go out to Marie D'Aragon's friends and family at this sad time. Okay, explorers, now it's time for the main part of the show. Luckily for this, Jimmy is back with our special guest. I'm going to go get changed and do my hair because it's crazy at the minute. And I can't wait for you guys and girls to listen to what our new special guest has to say. Make sure you check out the socials for their personal links. So without any delay, here we go. Okay, explorers, welcome to the main part of the show. And as I mentioned, our special guest joining us today is Tiara. Now, you might know her from crafting on Illume. She has more dresses than Queen Amidala. Tiara, who are you? Where you're from? Let the fans know.
Quite an intro. You weren't lying about that. I do not have more dresses than Queen Amidala. Yeah, so I am mainly on Instagram, crafting on Ilum, and I do cosplay. I have an online shop where I do Star Wars merch. I do funny reels that have to do with Star Wars all the time. And yeah, I sometimes bound at Disney World, so those are really cool tidbits too to find there.
Nice. And I've seen the shop, and there is some awesome stuff on there. Kanan shirts I'm after. I need all the socks. I need the Darth Maul shirt. There's one more that I saw as well. Oh, the Ahsoka shirt I need. I've got my eye on the Kester stuff as well. So,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, I'll be putting my order in.
You got any Acolyte stuff in there or any ideas for Acolyte stuff?
Not till I see it.
Not till you see it? Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, put my name down for that as well then as soon as you get that sorted out. But yeah, make sure you're checking out Tiara's socials again. Crafting on Ilum. Make sure, again, as always, check out the shop, spread the love, get on the socials. And if any of the explorers, any of the fans have got any stuff from her shop, or you've seen her cosplays, or you want to share your own cosplays, as always, whack them all over the social medias, either at Explore the Force on our Facebook group, Instagram, or again on Tiara's socials, crafting on Ilum. Now, before we get started, Tiara, always ask a few questions before we get right into the main part of the show. So, few questions. What's your favorite Star Wars movie? Who's your favorite Star Wars character, and why is it Darth Maul? And the last but not least, what's your favorite Disney TV show, and why is it The Acolyte?
Seems
What
like
are these answers? Okay, first question. Favorite movie changes with my mood, changes with the week, changes with the day. It will always be Revenge of the Sith because I saw it in movie theaters when I was 8 with my dad and took me out of school for that. So that's always there. But right now it's Phantom Menace, not just because of the Phantom Menace love, but I just love it. It's just so endearing and hopeful and just magical. And second question. What's the second question? Favorite character?
Favorite character.
Qui-Gon. Qui-Gon. It's
Nice.
not Darth Maul. lead you to believe that based off of stuff on my shop, but it's not
Yeah.
Darth Maul. Though he is one of my favorite Siths, but Qui-Gon's he's up there. Third question.
Favorite
So,
show.
um, God, that's hard. I would say Tales of the Jedi. I really love Tales of the Jedi. The music, the
Nice.
storyline, Count Dooku, Qui-Gon being in there. That's his son who voices Qui-Gon in the first couple episodes. That was pretty cool. So yeah, Tales of the Jedi.
Awesome. Nice. Some surprise answers there, to be fair. I was not expecting Tales of the Jedi. I will be honest. I don't think we've had that one yet, have we, Jimmy?
Mm-mm. No, I don't think so.
No, I don't think
That's a
we
good
have.
one. The Dooku
Yeah.
stuff in that is pretty awesome.
Yeah, I actually
Pretty cool.
rewatched the Dooku stuff the other day, to be fair. Tales of Jedi is pretty up there, one of my favourites. Now, like we mentioned then on the main part of the show, what we're talking about, Jimmy? What's the sketch?
We are going to dive into one of the maybe the most hated characters at one point in
Yeah.
fandom, one Miss Barriss Offee, with Tales of the Empire just releasing on May the 4th, so a little while ago, not even a month yet. Seems like forever ago, though, doesn't it? Like all the hype, and then it's like it's over, and you're like, oh yeah.
Done.
But I was pretty moved by her story, and
Yeah.
I thought, man, there's way more to this. I know we recapped them a little bit, but I thought there's a lot from this character just in that arc, her 3 episodes, and then
Yeah.
so we're just going to dive into that. And I got a question for both of you. Okay, so you're going to kind of have to you're going to have to think about this because it's a little bit difficult now that Tales of the Empire is already out. But if I were to say the name Barriss Offee to you before Tales of the Empire came out, what are your thoughts? Tiara, what are your thoughts on Barriss Offee prior to Tales of the Empire?
If I had to sum it up in one word, if you were just describe this character in one word, I'd say conflicted. How I feel about her and how maybe she feels about everything and herself.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good one. Conflicted. Very good. Jack?
For me, mine's a strange one. For me, I'd go down the route of boring to begin with, if I'm honest. Yeah, boring. Purely because obviously what we'd seen in the Clone Wars, I was a little okay. I see where we're going with this. It could happen. And obviously, I play a lot of Star Wars games, Galaxy of Heroes being one of them, and she's absolutely useless in that. She's completely useless. So yeah, to be perfectly honest, I found her quite boring and irrelevant to an extent.
All right. Yeah, because I know when we started talking about this, I went back and I was kind of watching some of the early episodes, and we'll bring some stuff up on and we'll talk about her in a minute. But
yeah,
she is like a robot.
Yeah.
Like we'll talk about it here, but we'll go ahead and bring her up. But yeah, I like those are boring and conflicted. I like those. We're gonna bring this up. So this is the person we're talking about. If you don't know, then go out and watch Clone Wars. And I guess I should say, spoiler alert for anything that Barriss Offee has appeared in, or been in, or mentioned in. So everything's fair game today. Obviously, we can't deep dive without that. But so first thing we got Barriss Offee. She's a, how do we say that species? A Mirilan.
Marielon.
Thank you. Her
One of
first
the
appearance was in the book The Approaching Storm by Alan Dean Foster, which is now, obviously not canon. Her first canon appearance will be episode 2, Attack of the Clones, played by Nalini Krishnan, who will be at Rebel Scum Con in Dallas at the end of June. And I've already ordered my Barriss Offee action figure because I can't find a Funko of her. So I'm going to get her to sign that. So I'm pretty excited for that. And then we get into the stuff, the Clone Wars. She kind of makes her first appearances in season 2, episode 6 through season 2, episode 9. And then most famously, of course, she's in season 5, episode 17 through 20. And then, of course, what got us here, because if you just left that off, for me, I was angry at her. Hated, I would say, would be my term for her. I'm not very Jedi-like either, apparently. But of course, those last episodes of Tales of the Empire. And just a little side note, I found this director Giancarlo Volpe wanted, and he's the one who directed the the first appearance where her and Ahsoka get pinned in that tank.
Yeah.
He wanted them to enter into a secret romantic relationship after that episode. So we got lots of stuff, and I'm going to bring up, here's Nalini portraying Barriss in Attack of the Clones back in the day. So I thought that would give her due as well. So give me a second here. But yeah, so he wanted them to be in a secret relationship, which I'm like, I don't know. They flirted with Ahsoka being in a relationship. Remember, like on when they were doing with Saw Gerrera and all that, wasn't that group?
Yeah.
He was kind of like crushing on what's
Lux.
his face. Was it
Lux was his
Lux?
name.
Okay,
Mhm.
yeah. But that's that episode. Season 2, episode 6 is kind of like the first time we get to know Barriss. The title for that episode was "No Gift is More Precious Than Trust," which was kind of, I mean, you think about that and then think about 3 seasons later where it comes down to, I thought that was pretty great. But have you guys rewatched that episode lately? Have you guys seen it? So
yeah, I watched it not long ago because obviously I knew it was doing this, so I did a little bit of research. Yeah,
the thing that stuck out to me the most was the difference between Anakin and Ahsoka and Barriss and Luminara.
Yeah,
Barriss is like robotic, and Luminara is the Jedi.
She's also robotic.
She's also
like
kind of robotic about it.
Yeah,
because in that, you know, she makes her memorize, and I know the beginning of that episode they make Ahsoka look silly and like foolish.
Yeah,
because she's not prepared. She's not a great Padawan in the aspect of traditional. But when they get into trouble, you know, Ahsoka's ability to think on her feet and stuff.
Yeah,
but
I'm glad you brought that up though, because it's a key thing I think with Anakin and Ahsoka for all the other Padawans and Masters is Anakin don't follow the rules, or if he does, he bends them to his benefit to a degree, and you see that, and that's the difference with Barriss and Master Luminara. They are robotic. It's like Mace Windu is like a robot as well. They're all rule driven, which in some cases, if not all cases of Jedi, proves to be their own downfall. Which again is probably proven by the fact that, like you just said, Jimmy, when Ahsoka gets in trouble, she's the one that bails them out. So
yeah.
So yeah, it was weird. It's just so different. And like you said too, Tiara, Luminara, like, because at the end of that episode, she's like ready just to leave. Like, oh, we lost our Padawans. No big deal. And of course, Anakin, and we're getting to see that compassion he has that's going to get him into trouble. You know, not willing to give up and all that stuff.
There's no bond there, is there?
What's that?
There's no bond between them.
No, it's
and you
weird.
would think that's necessary for a Padawan and a master. So I don't. That just goes to show more of like their hubris as Jedi, like their rules.
Yeah. We get used to seeing that with a lot of Master and Apprentices, don't we? Obviously, you see it right at the start of Star Wars with Obi-Wan and Luke, then Yoda and Luke, then you see it with Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon, then you see it in Clone Wars, the start of Clone Wars, with Anakin and Ahsoka. So for that to appear like it did, I think that's why everyone's saying it's like a robotic thing, or it's a bit of a, I don't want to say shock, but you're a bit taken aback by like how she treats her Padawan.
Yeah,
I was. I hadn't seen those episodes in forever, and so a couple days ago I put them on. I was like, oh my gosh, like what is wrong with these two? Like,
great writing.
I didn't realize how much. So that episode starts, and then it goes all the way into the brain worms. I mean, it just kind of flows through. And like I said, I hadn't seen some of those episodes in a very long time, and just the writing again. If you haven't watched the Clone Wars, you need to stop what you're doing. It makes Attack of the Clones and between Revenge of the Sith just all makes sense. The fall of Anakin. I think it drives it home better than the movies did. But and of course we get to season 5 episodes, was it 17 through 20?
Yeah.
And we know what happens, right? Ahsoka gets set up. There's a bombing in the Jedi Temple. And Ahsoka basically gets set up to take the fall. And then we find out at the end that it is actually, let me see if I can bring this up.
Barriss Offee, member of the Jedi Order. Tell them the truth.
I did it because I have come to realize what many people in the Republic have come to realize. That the Jedi are the ones responsible for this war. That we've so lost our way that we have become villains in this conflict. That we are the ones that should be put on trial. All of us! And my attack on the temple was an attack on what the Jedi have become. An army fighting for the dark side. Fallen from the light that we once held so dear. This Republic is failing! It's only a matter of time.
So that is the last time we see Barriss Offee for what, 7, 8 years probably?
8 years, I think it is.
8 years, I think. I'm not sure when Clone Wars. I know I will admit that I didn't watch Clone Wars when it was released. I kind of binged it on Netflix and everything else, and then realized everyone was right. Like, it is some of the best Star Wars. But listening to her talk and knowing what's about to happen in canon, what do you guys think about that speech? Like, is she misunderstood from the get-go? Like, was I wrong? I know that what she was saying was kind of true, but like when she's talking and things that she's done, what emotions, what thoughts pop into your guys' head?
Go on, Tiara, I'll let you start this one.
I mean, she's just conflicted. Like, she went about it all wrong, but like the conviction of what is wrong with the Jedi Order and the change that she's trying to bring about, it's still there, and you can hear it. It's like a plea of a broken heart for what she believes in, and he sees it so tainted.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. I can't remember what it was that drove her to think that or what she saw.
Well, if you read her Wikipedia page, she tries to avoid the war from the get-go. She actually stays back. She works as a medic, which is kind of ironic what she becomes, at the end of the Tales of the Empire. But she spent a long time because she was actually on Ilum. She was on Ilum with Master Luminara, creating her last lightsaber. They kind of get stuck and they go back to Coruscant. She works for a while as a nurse, as a doctor, and then she kind of gets forced into it. And if you watch those episodes, Anakin kind of talks about the perpetrator and how like it's political, it's all this, and you don't think about it, the Jedi being that way. But there were a lot of Jedi who were against the Clone Wars, and so I think it was that whole course of those events that kind of drive her to say the things that she said. And she's almost, Tiara, your favorite character is Qui-Gon. Qui-Gon wouldn't blow up a Jedi temple to get his point across, but I feel like they're pretty similar in their mindsets as far as things that they were seeing from the Phantom Menace to the Revenge of the Sith.
When you were playing that clip, I literally wrote down, I was like, what if Qui-Gon was there? What if Qui-Gon was there and was hearing what she was saying? Like, could the events have, turned out differently? If Qui-Gon was there, could the events turn out differently in every situation? Probably. Yeah, I was just thinking, like, it's very similar to what Qui-Gon was playing all the time when he was in front of the Council. Even in Tales of the Jedi, we see him, and then, Jedi Council doesn't believe him, and he's like, they will, like, eventually, but obviously he dies, so.
Well, yeah, even in the Living Force, he comes and he's talking about stuff, and they're still like, "Oh, it's Qui-Gon again. Here he's preaching to us," and that's 1 year before the Phantom Menace, So I don't want to give too much away in that book, but yeah, it's crazy to me, like But it's also like you said too. It's like he would not have handled it, I hope, by blowing something up and then trying to frame another Jedi for it. So but that's. Go ahead, Jack. Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're right, Tiara, as well, because we're talking about Qui-Gon, but what about Dooku? What if all three of them got together? I think the Jedi Order in that respect are very lucky that they only went up against Dooku, because I do think that other Jedi could have and would have sided against the Jedi Order. I think it could have been split equally down the middle. But I think Papa Palps did a good job of containing all the Jedi Order.
Yeah.
And making them see his direction.
Yeah, his chess pieces, just moving them along. Yeah.
Keeping them all spread out, making them comfortable with their clones. That if you've never read Plagueis, that book is phenomenal. I hope that they're going to do things to make that canon through Acolyte, possibly, coming up next week, we'll see. But the long game, that is the definition of the long game with his master, and then what Sidious does as far as pulling everybody apart, fracturing the Jedi. So yeah, that was pretty cool. So we don't see her for a long time, and then of course every time someone shows up in a mask since Rebels, who do we think it is?
I think Asajj or Barriss.
Yeah, everyone's Barriss, because it was not seventh sister. There was one that had a helmet on that we didn't get to see. Some people actually thought seventh sister was Barriss for a little while. And then of course in the Acolyte, everyone thinks that Marek or Marok.
Marek. Yeah, Marok. Yeah.
It was possible that and I was kind of like, when we saw we're getting Tales of the Empire and you see that first clip and you're like, oh my gosh, they're going to answer all these questions about Barriss. And we'll talk about if they really answered anything in the end. But I just think it's kind of funny because now who do we think everyone is? Because now we know that Asajj is still alive and we have less answers now. But anyway, so I'm going to play a clip from the first episode of
Tales of the Empire.
Tales of the Empire, thank you. It's called Devoted, and this takes place, let me bring up my notes here real quick. This place takes place 19 BBY, so 19 years before the Battle of Yavin. So I just thought that was kind of clever. And all right.
I must confess, you've impressed us. You both have. Unfortunately, there is only room in our ranks for one. You may choose not to fight, of course. Both of you will die.
We don't have to do this. They won't kill us.
They killed Amar. Embracing the future!
Welcome, sister.
Now it is time you meet your new master. Rise, Inquisitors. Long live the Empire.
All right, so lots and lots of things to pull apart from just that, a minute and a half or whatever it was. But my first question, does this episode show you how the dark side is just underneath the skin of every Jedi? Like how quickly she went from, we don't have to fight, surely they're not going to kill both of us, to like, sweet innocence at force choking the heck out of, I can't remember that weird guys with the crazy hair face. But what do you guys think about just that change in her personality? Like, I mean, she had to have kind of known what was coming, but
I think it's the same as like real life. Star Wars relates so much to real life. It's unbelievable. It's easier to do the wrong thing than it is the right. 100%. If we were in a world, if we was in a situation where there's one apple and two people, would you work together and sow the seeds, or would you just try and get the apple for yourself? 9 times out of 10, people just go straight for the apple, rather than thinking outside the box to a degree. A bit of a weird analogy to go with, but you get my drift. It's easier to do the bad thing than it is to do a good thing. What do you reckon, Tiara?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the purpose of the Sith, of the Empire, is to show us that it's so easy to get caught in this like convoluted circle of fear and despair and hate, and it's so much harder to stay true to the good because the fear is just so easy to give into, and they create that atmosphere, right? They put each other against each other to decide, and it's really survival of the fittest. There's no room for democracy or to have compassion.
Yeah, that's a really good point as well that you said there, that they make that atmosphere, because that's what the Sith, that's what they dwell on, isn't it? The hate, the fear, and stuff like that. So straight from the off, Palps to finally turn Anakin, he puts the fear of losing Padme into his head.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I think Tiara's hit the nail on the head there. They make the atmosphere, and that's why it's so easy for people to fall to the dark side.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree with both of you guys. I think that, because at first you're like, oh, she's changed, like she's understanding, and then that she just, I mean, as soon as it comes to her or him, I mean, it immediately was her. And I kind of flashback. I know we didn't show a lot of that stuff, but she's a pretty nasty lightsaber battle with Anakin, and she holds her own for the most part. Like, she's not to be trifled with. I mean, she fights him pretty well. And then, of course, I had predicted, funnily enough, though, that Vader comes walking down the stairs. He sees her, opens up his lightsaber. Series is over. It took, one episode, and that's the end of Barriss's arc. But what do you think, Vader? Like, Anakin, Vader, he's sitting there. He recognizes. I mean, he recognized Reva, in Kenobi. He knew who she was when she was a little kid. There's no way that he's forgiven. He's never forgiven Barriss for driving Ahsoka away from him, because we know his connections and even how much he holds on to things. He just allows this to happen. Like,
yeah, I think to a degree, he's got to understand what the Emperor wants. So if the Emperor's told him, don't touch any Inquisitors to an extent, or at the same time, in fact, is this before or after Rebels as well? It'd be before Rebels.
This would be before Rebels.
Yeah, so probably at the same time then, one or two things is either decided, no, actually Ahsoka was wrong because she's a Jedi, because he hates Jedi, essentially. What I was going to say, the other thing was, if it was after Rebels, that would make sense, because he's just battled Ahsoka, which would add a bit more foundation to my last comment, maybe. But I think ultimately it's the end goal of the Emperor said, these Inquisitors. But
yeah, I mean, I feel like Anakin is pretty suppressed at this point, right? We know that there's still a little bit of him inside Vader, but he's pretty suppressed. And also, to Jack's point, the fact that it's the Emperor's plan, and he is his master, so he can't step out of line and like give in to what he wants to do necessarily at this point.
Yeah, I think, I kind of feel like that too. And imagine that having someone that you hate and despise around makes you a more powerful Sith in the first place. So maybe that's part of it. I mean, I'm sure he probably had something up his sleeve for her in the end, because they're not going to let these Sith, these Inquisitors probably exist after they think they've wiped out all the Jedi. But I don't know. Of course, we have the second episode. Sorry, here, bring this up.
Yeah, the big one where we really start to see her in her
realization role. Yeah, so the second episode is Realization, and it still takes place in 19 BBY, so this is pretty quick. I mean, right at the beginning of the Empire, and there wasn't a lot of stuff I could pull up. The only thing really was, she still had that helmet. She was wearing her helmet was when she was pretending to be Asajj, I believe, and then they go into this town, and her and was it fourth sister, Lynn?
Yeah,
they go into town, and they start questioning people looking for Jedi, and Barriss is able to get it out of a little kid, and of course Lynn goes crazy and just wipes out everyone that was in there. And they kind of have a little bit of a standoff about the kid too, right? Because she's like, I mean, I think like fourth sister would have just chopped that kid down without even thinking, and then that kind of starts the tension. They climb the mountain, they find the Jedi. All heck breaks loose. Barriss once again convinces the Jedi to surrender, and they're about to, and Lynn slices them down. So, and then of course they get into their altercation, boom, and that sets Barriss back on her path of being a Jedi. Can she be redeemed after? So you've seen all this. We got to that. She's kind of figured things out. She's not going to leave that Jedi. Is she redeemed at that point, or we have to keep going with the next episode, do you think? Or is she redeemable for what she's done?
What do you think, Tiara?
Definitely redeemable. We see it all the time. I mean, we see when Yaddle is like asking Count Dooku, come back, like we can fix whatever mistakes you've made. We see it if you've read the Dark Disciple with Quinlan, with Asajj bringing him back to the light side. And so it's not impossible for Barriss to be redeemable.
Because did she actually kill anyone at that Jedi temple with a bomb in?
I think
Yes.
so. I think
It's
I
just
think there was
it's clones as well,
casualties.
though, isn't it?
I think, well, in the beginning of that episode, it says that employees and some Jedi were killed in the explosion.
Okay, so
And
yeah,
that's why they
maybe
go out and Ahsoka and
maybe yeah,
Anakin went
she's on
there.
a path to redemption. Then maybe.
Mm.
But I don't think it's I don't think it's a path of redemption for what she's done. I still think she believes in what she's done's right, definitely. But then because she sees the side of the empire and stuff, I think she's trying to install the old Jedi way, because the Jedi way that we see from pretty much the Phantom Menace forwards is a different Jedi Order way, if that makes sense. Because obviously, if you've read the books of the High Republic, you read the High Republic books and that, Tiara, you haven't you?
Like snippets, not full books yet.
But like, there's so much difference between the Order then, the
Mm.
Order that's in like the Living Force,
Mm-hmm.
the Order that's in the Phantom Menace, then the Order in the Clone Wars.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
they're all going in different directions. They all believe there's different sort of things.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I think Barriss is trying to, again, not redeem herself, but do what she thinks is right. If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 100%.
That's what I'm going to go with.
I like it. So we think she's on the path, or she is either redeemable or she's on the path to redemption, but she hasn't quite changed things yet.
Yeah.
So then we get let me see here. We get the third episode. All right, The Way Out, which is just, I think this is one of the best episodes in Star Wars. You know, George Lucas. I just watched that Phantom Menace where he's like, it's, it rhymes. It's everything is the same thing. And so this is 9 BBY to 0 BBY. So this is right here almost at the end of A New Hope, at the beginning of New Hope. There's obviously there's a bit of a gap here, but she goes from being a terrorist to an inquisitor to being called the wise mother, the healer. People are looking for her. And then we have this clip as well. So they, in that episode, there's a family trying to escape the Inquisitors or the Empire because their kid is most likely a Jedi.
Yeah.
They bring her up to him, and we'll talk about more stuff from that part. But I'll show you guys the.
It almost stopped searching. I have been sent for the child.
Is this who you have become?
I wouldn't expect you to understand.
You're correct, Lynn. I do not.
Do not call me that.
But I warn you not to follow the child into that cave. You do not know the path.
Fear is my ally, not yours.
You choose your allies poorly.
Once I am finished with the child, I will be back for you.
You're lost. Lay down your weapon, and I'll show you the way out. It seems Tiara is not your ally, but your master.
Barriss!
Let me help you.
Barriss!
I forgive you.
I don't want your forgiveness. I want you to show me the way out.
You just have to accept it, Lynn.
Stop calling me that.
That is who you are.
There is no way out.
That's what the Empire wants you to think.
All right, so I feel like that episode and all the symbolism in this thing. All right, I did accidentally cut out the part where she repeats exactly what the Grand Inquisitor says to her, but in a different format. Makes you predictable. Your anger makes you predictable, whereas he said, "No, your Jedi makes you predictable." The fact that it's called The Way Out, she gets lost. She can't find her way, just like Barriss probably felt throughout, all these years. And then you have almost a Darth Maul Kenobi, but in reverse situation from Twin Sons. Like, just this episode alone, I feel like you could talk an eternity about. So when you guys see this, you see her change. You think all the way back to robot Padawan. I am a Padawan. I am here to serve.
Yeah.
To terrorist, to Inquisitor, to the healer, the mother. And then you see that last scene, and it's like the reverse, the reverse of Darth Maul and Kenobi. So what are your thoughts on this? What is this like? I just feel like there's so much to unpack in just that little bit we just saw.
There's a hell of a lot. Just from the off as well, I've seen an interesting theory. Someone thought that those two parents of the kid that were hiding were Ezra Bridges' parents.
Yeah.
You've seen that, Tiara, have you?
Yeah, my friend, after we had watched it and stuff, he was like, I'm pretty sure that's Ezra's parents. Like, if you look closely at them. So then we were comparing, and I was like, no, I don't know about that.
That's where they do
Timeline.
stuff like that on purpose.
Yeah, timeline I don't think adds up for that, but I don't
Right.
know. I mean, there's a big gap of 9 years, but even if that was him,
Yeah.
he'll be old enough to be in Rebels because that's going to happen right before the Battle of Yavin because they're going to be
Yeah.
there, right? I
Yeah,
think.
that's a good
Yeah.
point.
I think you're right, though. I do believe that Filoni does stuff like that just to get people like, oh. And
Well, that theory is down the drain now because that makes sense with the years wouldn't add up. So that's even here or there. The next thing as well is the picture. Like obviously the picture you had up there, Jimmy, with the mother, the healer. You can just see how battered and worn she is as the healer. You know, short hair, wrinkles, happens to the best of us. She looks a lot thinner than she was way back in the very first episode of the Clone Wars that she was in. You know, her hair's long. Yes, she's on the run from the Empire, but you can just see that the years have not been so kind to her. But at the same time, you just get that sense she looks wiser as well. A lot.
The way she fights. Yeah.
Oh, massively. She's a lot more
Mhm.
elegant, less robot-like. She's fluid.
Mm.
She doesn't really use a saber, so to speak, more words than anything. And she
Mhm.
knows how powerful she is with the Force because you see it and tells the
Mhm.
Emperor, like, she is so strong with the Force.
They call it a meditative form of combat, like when they connect with the Force, and it's a form that Qui-Gon uses too. So I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, it's awesome that all this canon stuff is coming in now, and it just makes Star Wars even bigger and better, I think. Yeah, that's enough from me. What do you think, Joe? I'll let you go on for a bit.
Yeah, I like you said, like she's weathered, but she seems so much wiser the way that she talks, how confident she is in her fighting style. Just when I saw her fighting style, I was like, oh yeah, she's so at peace with herself, and even if other people don't feel like she's redeemed, she feels redeemed and feels like she's set on the path that the Force had for her all this time.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And I love the fact that you brought that up, Jimmy, as well. It's like the reverse of Darth Maul and Kenobi. Because I don't think I definitely wasn't expecting Barriss to get, I'm not going to say killed because we don't know, but get stabbed, shall we say.
Yeah, I was like, whoa,
Yeah.
caught off
Yeah.
guard. But man, just the way out, like this is the way out. And then she's like, fear is my ally. And then she's like, it's not, it's like your prison. I just think people say that. I know, unfortunately, George just came out and said like people don't understand the Force, and that in his canes. But you can't tell me that Dave Filoni doesn't understand the Force. Like
He does.
I know he's probably not talking about Dave. He's talking about other things, but I don't know what I've seen in a short. I mean, it's like a 11, 12-minute episode.
Yeah.
And there's so much packed into that about the Force and about the dark side, the light side, and the way out from it, or finding your way. Just incredible to me. I don't know. And then
Just
of
goes
course,
to show the level of writing.
yeah.
Mhm.
So, and then of course we get this from Wikipedia. Let me I'll just bring this up so everyone can see it. Well, we can't read it when it's there. So it says, if you look down here at the bottom, this is for about the episode. It says that Barriss reclaimed her identity as a Jedi and became a wandering healer, helping those in need. She was eventually hunted down and gravely injured, not killed, but gravely injured by the fourth sister, formerly her friend within the Jedi Order known as Lin Rakish. Though the Inquisitor became empathetic for Offee and sought to aid her thereafter, because they do show her walking out of out of the caverns with her.
Yeah.
But so I have a list of questions that I think are ridiculous because I don't feel like she's been surrounded by intrigue since she's been put away. A couple things that we can talk about. First, I think we go down to, is Barriss Offee even dead? Is she still alive? I mean, because right there on Wikipedia it says gravely injured.
I think, in fact, go on, Tiara, I'll let you go first on this one.
Yeah, I think she's alive. I think it would be inconsistent with what we've seen so far in Star Wars for her to be dead and, specific things like and it leaves off on such a open end. Like she's gravely injured and you can tell from the scene, so I don't think that she's dead.
Yeah, and this is why I let Tiara go first because that's a very, very good point. It's not consistent, but I think, and Jimmy, you put the seed in my head now with this is right at the start of this episode or this part of the show. You told us about our director wanting Ahsoka and Barriss to be in a relationship.
Mm,
I
yeah,
think
I
we
like
could be
that.
heading that way with Lynn and
Interesting.
Barriss, and it could be the first Jedi couple that we have.
Yeah, because they do have that book coming out called Temptation of the Force, where everyone thinks that that's kind of a double meaning with the two characters that they're talking about.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe it sets a precedence. I mean, they already kind of have set a precedence with the High Republic talking about how they kind of used to
Yeah.
mess around a little bit when they were
Mhm,
Padawans. So,
mhm. Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. So, and then of course, there's a couple things. If she is alive, if her and Lynn are alive, do they go? Are they in hiding? Do we see them? Originally, too, I also found out that Barriss was supposed to die at the end of her arc in the Clone Wars, but then Dave scrapped that right at the last minute because he said, "I've got more ideas for her." Which, I mean, I guess keeping a character alive makes way more sense, and throw him in
Yeah.
prison and everything. And then you can come back with Tales of the Empire 7, 8 years later. I don't know exactly.
Yeah.
The year, how many years it's been, but um and we have kind of like, and then she mentions, because she does mention, she's talking about that, go see an old friend of mine, you're going to see an old friend of mine, and then she also talks about this person, the Traveler, and I kind of was wondering what you guys think about those two short quips, right before she sends those people off. She talks about, you're going to go see an old friend of mine. Who is that? Because she doesn't have a ton of friends when she comes out of the prison cell.
No.
She has less friends after she leaves the Inquisitorius, and then of course, she's
Has
surrounded.
to be Ahsoka, right?
I don't know. That's why I'm asking you guys.
That would be my guess. It's Ahsoka.
I think Ahsoka or Asajj because of Quinlan and we see his name in the path and I don't know. I think that could
I
be a
kind of
good tie.
assumed that's where they were going, was to the path.
Mm.
Like, you're
Mhm.
gonna go see a friend
Yeah.
of mine.
Right.
Is the Traveler, is that Asajj? Is that Quinlan? Like, someone's going around finding, because like we have no idea what Asajj was doing, right? She shows up,
Yeah.
Bad Batch, out of the
Mhm.
blue. She seems fine. We haven't got any, of course, we haven't got any answers that we need or want. But I mean, is that the Traveler? Are they bringing it all together? Because we've talked about this in before, where
Yeah.
is the path going to tie in with Cal Kestis and Talonor? Is that where the path is taking people now that he has a way there? Those kinds of things just kind of steamrolling into, like, is it all coming to a head?
They've just got to be careful, I think, though, because there's so many Jedi going to be wandering around the galaxy now.
Mhm.
It's a case of, well, where are they when all this is kicking off on Endor? Where are they when it's all
Mhm.
kicking off on Hoth?
Mhm.
These aren't little events either. These are big events that are happening in the galaxy.
Yeah.
That's kind of why I do feel like it would make sense. Because I mean, you got Ahsoka on Peridea,
Yeah.
right? Ahsoka Sabine. I mean, Ezra is back, so that causes some trouble. But then if you have people going to Talonor and staying there where it's safe and not coming back, or maybe time works differently there. I mean, who knows what they could do with it?
Yeah.
But because like well, I guess just. And then, of course, too, I have the last question I have is this is 9 BBY to 0 BBY. So right before Yavin kicks off, is Barriss and Lynn, are they alive for the Rey movie? Vernestra Rowe is going to be 115 years old in The Acolyte, right?
Yeah.
She's the one that they're bringing over. So we know that these
Mm.
species lives a long time. I'm not sure exactly what Lynn, her character, her species is right off the top of my head, but are they alive? Are they alive for the Rey movie? Is this something we're going to start pulling everything back together? Is Dave, as chief creative
Maybe.
officer, starting to weave this web? Or
The thing is, like I said, like, if they've got to be careful, but at the same time, the galaxy is that big. Why not have in one side of the galaxy Luke versus the Empire, and another side of the galaxy you've got whatever Jedi we've got against Thrawn.
Mhm.
And then in the other side of the galaxy, we've got Cal against whatever's happening on at Telenor. There's a big enough place. There's enough creative writers to get the job done. What do you reckon, Tiara?
Yeah, I think there's big possibilities, but like you said, having to be careful. I don't know about her being alive though, because I feel like she's already gone through so much. Like we might see her pop in here and there, but before Ray timeline, like because she was a healer, she was using some of her force powers to heal other
Yeah.
people. So that took wear and tear on her.
What would be interesting as well when they're talking about this new Jedi Order, I'm going to sort of talk about it tomorrow as well, is an easier way to a degree, and it'd annoy a lot of people, is imagine Rey pulling out these artifacts. I think she's only got the book, correct me if I'm wrong, she's only got the Jedi book and that is it. But do we know that for certain? Because she could turn out at the Jedi Order when she's talking about this, that, and the other and go, right, I've got this from Jedi Master Offee that died during this. I got this from Jedi Master Kestis that died when this happened. You know what I mean? So it could just wrap it all up in like 5 minutes of Daisy Ridley saying, this is where I've got this from, this is where I've got this from.
Yeah.
And then Daisy Ridley just instantly becoming hated by everybody, again, for no apparent reason. But yeah, the scope there, definitely. I wouldn't mind that, if I'm honest. If that was how it turned out like that, and for me, I think it'd be a good way to have a clean slate going forward. Won't bother me whatsoever, that.
Yeah.
Well, it kind of brings us to a last little part here. For me personally, I'm on record as saying I thought that Vader was going to end Barriss. Like, I didn't think he was going to end her that immediately. I thought that it would kind of come full circle and he'd be able to take her out. And that was probably be the Jimmy that hadn't seen her in 8 years and was still holding on to my ear. I would not be a very good Jedi, I don't think. For pushing, Ahsoka out of the Order and everything like that. Spoiler alert. And I think that maybe it's one of the reasons this is so impactful. I mean, because immediately I know I got up, Jack. I think I got up at like 6 a.m. so we could do this. And I watched it, and I was stunned by this arc. Like I like the Morgan Elsbeth stuff; it was fine. Some of it doesn't make sense to me still, but this arc, I was just like, what did I just watch? Like my mind is blown. I still think there's so much to dive into. And did this arc end the way you wanted it to? Are there more questions than answers yet again? Like Dave Filoni.
It is the Star Wars way, isn't it? You're always going to get more questions than answers. Doesn't matter what happens or what universe or what story arc. Us Star Wars fans, we believe hard enough. We think it's going to happen or true. Like you said again, we believe Barriss was alive. We believe Barriss was an Inquisitor, Marek, whoever. So, it's just gone from there, hasn't it?
Sure. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of people were disappointed with her story. It's like it's half and half. To me, at least what I've seen, people are split, and because they were upset that she wasn't like fully submerged as an inquisitor, like she didn't like give in to hate, fear, all that, and like become an inquisitor fully. But I think that the way that they ended it was true to her character and her speech in Clone Wars. Like I said, conflicted, and she found her way. So I think it ended well, and I think the storytelling was really, really good.
Yeah, imagine that Star Wars fandom being split down the middle.
Crazy.
I love it. I would love more of this. I don't know about you guys. I hope that we get a Tales of every May the 4th or whatever it's going to be. This is fantastic.
Like that,
we finally get this kind of storytelling every time. There's enough characters out there as well. But anything else on Barriss Offee, this arc, Tales of the Empire, the Clone Wars stuff? I know we've talked about her at length. I think if you haven't watched these episodes, folks, go dive into these. I mean, they're short. It's like less than 30 minutes maybe. And I feel like it's changed. This is one of the most powerful things for me in Star Wars, personally. Like, just because of how I was feeling when it started and how I was feeling about her at the end, I was like, okay, like this is crazy. Just to see that she was a true Jedi. Everyone, they have their own way out. They have their own path, like you guys said previously. But any last thoughts before we wrap this up?
Yeah, I think we're good.
Nah, I think we've covered it all.
Awesome. Well, Tiara, I want to thank you for coming on the show with us. It's always awesome to have you. And I believe you'll be coming on to talk a little Acolyte with us in a couple weeks. Yeah. How excited are you for the
Indeed.
Acolyte?
I'm really excited. I'm sad that people aren't as hyped or like optimistic about it, but I'm excited for a new era to see it. Even just at least a couple of episodes that are good. I'm good with that.
All right. Very cool.
I'm excited. I cannot wait for it, and I can't wait for some more t-shirt and sweater designs from the Acolyte, as well as some more socks. So yeah,
Yes.
I'll definitely be watching your Instagram and your shop for updates on that boy. And just like Jimmy said as well, thank you so much for giving up some time to come on the show. As always, if you'd like to let everyone know where they can find you, Tiara, the floor is yours.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited too to come back. I've got my Instagram, my TikTok, and YouTube. I do lives with friends on YouTube. On my Instagram is where all my stuff is. There's a link with my link tree, and it has my shop. I have a affiliate with Saber Masters, so if you like sabers, you can get some sabers. And yeah, I'm just always making new content on Instagram, so check it out.
Awesome. And as always, explorers and fans, again, head over to our socials all over Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Threads. Oh my God, Threads and YouTube. All one word, explore the Force. Again, from myself, as always, before we end the show, Tiara, we like to do like a little saying. So I'll give you a little time to think. For me, though, from this week, then, I did it because I've come to realize what many of people in the Republic have come to realize, that the Jedi are the ones responsible for this war.
How
Go for it,
appropriate.
Tiara. The floor is yours. What we got?
My quote, I have to pick a quote.
Yep.
All right. The ability to speak does not make you intelligent. How about that?
Yes. I wish my high school students realized that. So, and for all of us, again, one last time, thank you for coming on. Check her stuff out. She made some blue milk. She got her own recipe on TikTok. We have spoken. See you guys next week.
See you next week.